Hello everyone, today I wanted to give a bit of an update on my publishing journey so far. I've been publishing for 6 months now with my first book coming out in May, and I realised that I am not really consistent about keeping this channel updated as to when I do what, so I really just wanted to celebrate what I've achieved so far today and talk about what I hope to achieve before the end of the year, as we've got 2 months left, and I think it's a good time to reassess goals so that when you hit the new year you've just achieved what you want to achieve. So what have I achieved this year? So far this year I have published 5 books. I have another one written and a novella half written, which are also to be published. Now most of those books are in my Secret Library series, with the first book, A New Keeper, coming out, it was mid-May. Now I had the second book, Call of Koya, coming out mid-June, and then in July I had the third book, The Spaces Between. In August I created those as a collection and published that, and it was on that I was able to get my first international BookBub. And then where are we? August, September I published the fourth book, which I worked on hard out in time for the BookBub, but it wasn't finished, so it came out just after the BookBub. And if you don't know what BookBub is, it's a really highly rated promotional site. When you get a good BookBub going, it can really launch your book. I've had mixed results with that, which I'll talk about in another video, I think. And then where was I up to? October, I published the first book in my satirical space western series. It's called Cowboy Karen, Asteroid Jazz. Asteroid Jazz is the name of the first book. And that brings me to now, the end of October. What I wanted to talk about next is what I've learned so far from 6 months in publishing, because it's not really that long, but I fail fast, right? Like I try and get lots done and learn my lessons as quickly as possible so I don't make them again. So what have I learned? This is the same for many different things. Often you are your own worst enemy. It's not my ability and skill that has held me back necessarily. It's been my self-criticism. I think I managed that fairly well, but it is still an ongoing thing which I need to work on. The second kind of lesson that I've learned is that, it's a lesson that it's a lesson for the past, so it's hindsight. Here's some hindsight. When you're publishing your first book, triple edit it, quadruple edit it, edit it till you can't stand your book anymore, because I thought I'd done a good job, and I recently re-edited everything that was published, and oh god, the typos in book 1, I don't know how I read it and didn't see them, and this had been updated once with reader feedback, so there you are. But you know, the world didn't implode. It wasn't too much of a disaster. But in saying that, my editing has improved as I went through the series and was editing out all the mistakes that I was finding. When I got to book 4, I'm finding hardly anything that needs changing, and it's really just me kind of nitpicking now and doing stylistic switches or things like that. So was I successful in not doing the whole hire and edit thing? Yes and no. Was my book well edited? No. Are my books that I'm publishing now well edited? Yes, they are, and I'm pretty happy about that. I had an audit by Amazon on my collection, and they found 10 typos in 3 books, and I think that's spectacular in terms of getting a good quality product out there. Obviously 0 typos is the ideal, but no one gets 0 typos, especially when you're starting out, so I'm pretty pleased with that. And the last lesson I just wanted to touch on is that your first book is not going to be your best work. In order to keep creating and keep doing good work, you really need to accept that your first book was the best book that you could do at that time. Be kind to yourself and don't cringe too much about it, because you're going to write more first books or first in series books and you can promote them. My anxiety about book 1 and whether or not it was good, which I do think it's good, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, I've written, as I say, I've written 5 books since then, and there are things I would have done differently. But my anxiety started to drop around that after I started getting good promotional deals, and also after I published the first book in the Cowboy Karen series, because that's another thing that I can push to people, and I'm really proud of it, and I think I've come a long way. I still have a long way to go, don't get me wrong. This journey is a constant growth journey. It's one of the great things about writing, so you're never done learning. And I have consistently, I think, gotten better in terms of my ability to tell a story as time has gone on. And this has involved lots of experimenting with my process, including dictation, which is now a semi-permanent part of my my process as a writer. Dictating isn't quicker for me. I think maybe the software isn't great at picking up my accent, but I feel more comfortable sitting down to dictate than sitting down to write. Like, it feels like less of a chore. Not that I hesitate on the word chore because it is something I love doing, and it also requires a lot of focus, like many good things, I suppose. So, what do I want to do with the rest of the year? I want to finish my novella. This is a short read. It's set in the Secret Library world, set between books 1 and 2. It acts as a separate entry into the series, with only kind of mild spoilers to book 1, so it's a book that I'm going to really push to get out there. And it's a novella, so it's about between 15,000 and 20,000 words. And so I'm about halfway through that, and I want to get that finished so that I can start giving it to people. And then I also have the first in series of a urban fantasy story that I've been working on. I actually finished the draft like 2 months ago or something, but other things became more pressing, especially with these promotions. You start to fall behind on things like editing that draft. But it's really fun, a really good series, and I'll get that out sometime this year, hopefully. But it's written, and there's no urgency to publishing it. Obviously, the sooner it's out there, the sooner people can read it, but there's other urgencies that I need to attend to. So aside from those 2 projects, I have for NaNoWriMo, so that's November Writing Month. If you don't know about it, I am going to be writing the 5th book in my Secret Library series. There are going to be 6 books, apart from the short reads. There's 6 books for the main arc of the story. So I'm working on number 5, and it's called Seas of Bast, which has been referenced throughout the rest of the books. So it'll be cool to really get into that story, because it's, of all the stories that I've written for the Secret Library, this is one which I knew I was going to do at some stage. I didn't know when it was going to come in the series, like where this arc would fit in, but now I know, and I'm really excited to be getting on with it because it's going to be awesome. And that will bring me up to December. Now in December I am working on the 2nd and 3rd Cowboy Karen books. The second one is definitely to be released in December, because I have it up for pre-order, and the 3rd one I'd like to get it up. Now this may seem like it's a big task to achieve, but these stories, the Cowboy Karen stories, are a bit shorter, which is one of the reasons why I want to get all 3 done, because then I can start promoting with sites like BookBub, which don't accept books that are too short, but they do like longer books, and they do like collections. So once I've got all 3 books done, I'll publish it as a collection and see if I can get some promotion done with that. So that's more or less my plan. I have some other things that I'd like to do if I become crazy productive, is what sometimes happens with me. But that's me for now. Where I'm going with this channel, tomorrow I'm going to do a prep video, a Preptober for NaNoWriMo for my book 5, and then throughout November I'm going to do regular updates or irregular updates, or I'm going to do lots of updates about how I'm coming along with that book. I've tried to do daily vlogs in the past, it hasn't worked out. I might do daily vlogs, we'll see, but I don't want to commit to anything. So that's me. Thank you for listening to this update, this planning goal video. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Follow me on my journey from going from 0 books published at the beginning of the year to 5 so far, and like I'm gonna have like 9 done by the end of the year if all goes well. So we'll see. Join along and root for me. Cheers. Take care.